Hey, welcome, all my right thinkers. Thanks for tuning in to check out your boy, A-Farm. Thinking right out here in the lab. What do I do for you? I got something new that I'm about to try out. Let's see how this thing work out. I'm sorry. Let's go. Radism, 25 rules to live by. Storytelling, story with a message. There's the message in the story. I figured out one way or another, but that's the deal. You know what I do for you. You tuning in, you getting the life lessons. I see they must be working out for you, so let me get some more to you. I got you. Don't worry about it. Let's go. Right thinking mission, and that's what I'm on. Like nobody's business. It's to enlighten, inspire, educate, and motivate you, the individual, to a higher spiritual level of enlightenment. The more you get, the better you get. Right thing is way of life. And when you practice it on a daily basis, that's what it becomes for you. Through mental and spiritual discipline, again, daily will help and guide you to obtain your goal of spiritual enlightenment, aka know thyself. If you're a right thinker, my mission is to get you to know thyself. And I got the information, everything you need to do just that. Know thyself. Your job is to tune in. I got you. Let's go. Know thyself. And I ask the question, do you know you? It's rhetorical. But if you don't have the answer for yourself, tune in. I can help you with that. That's what I do for you. A person who knows not and knows not that they know not is foolish. Disregard them. A person who knows not and knows that they know not, my kind of people. You teach them. That's why I do what I do for you. Stay tuned. I got more for you. I appreciate you too. A person who knows not and believes and think that they know, dangerous. Avoid them. I do. A person who knows, but knows not that they know, is spiritually asleep. I'm the spiritual alarm clock here. I'm to wake you up with knowledge of self. That's what I do for you. A person who knows and knows that they know is wise. Follow them. All these persons reside in you. Right thinkers. Know thyself. And to my eye, be true. I ran across, I do my trolling, and I was checking out this guy Carl Jung. They just think he's the Swiss, like, whatever, man. Okay, I'm about to give a lesson about the id, the ego, and the superego, according to Carl Jung. That's his version. Right? I think his version is you got Amun, Set, and Heru. They're all in you. The same way the id is you. These three characters, I'm trying to meld them in together, see if I can make this work. My man tell me that I take dots, I connect the dots. Right now, I'm trying to connect Carl Jung dots with my right thinking, our ancient ancestors dot, and see how they work out. Okay, let's go. Now, right thinkers, let's talk about the id, the ego, superego, aka Amun, Set, and Haru. They're all in you. According to Carl Jung, this is his trinity of the mind, conscious of every human being. This is his psychological kind. He's a psychologist, so he deals with the mind. Okay, I'm with you. Let's go. The id is the identity of the individual human. I, that's the id. Now you got that's the hidden aspect of you. That's Amun. We know that. That's the spark, that's the consciousness, but that's what you identify with. Self as I, the id. Got it. Carl Jung, we good so far. Now let's talk about the ego. I'm big on the ego. Why? Because the ancients tell us our ego is our physical body wanting to be controlled by that mental aspect of ourself, hence the ego. We call it the lower self. And the ego is just about surviving, reproducing, and having pleasures. That's the low level. Those three levels. When you see those colors on the chakras, the red, the lowest, you got orange, you got yellow. Those are bright colors. Kids love bright colors, so they get you with the colors. Every restaurant, big yellow, red, and orange letters. So that's another lesson, but that's the concept. And the id is big on that. Why? It gets your attention. The ego wants what it wants. It's set in this way. It thinks it is the end all be all. But it's your lower self, which is who you are. Okay. But you have to rise. Why? Lower nature people no different than the beasts of the field. And they live on instinct. We have consciousness. That's our gift from God. The third part is the super ego. That's what I'm trying to get all my right thinkers to know thyself. That's a super ego, knowing itself. The ego by itself don't know nothing but itself. The super ego has raised the consciousness, hence Heru. That's you. That's the goal for all right thinkers, to be their best self. You got to raise your conscious level past the low level. The green chakra is the heart middle. That's the fourth chakra. If you living from 3 down, Amit bites from the 3 or 4th ring down. That means if you just live on a lower level, third level, as a Mason, you ain't a master. Oh, but that's the concept. You survive it. You can live. But in order to get better, you got to raise up to the next level. And they call that in Masonry the red house. Another reason I know why, but it's symbolic. But the whole point is you haven't mastered yourself until you reach the 7th level. Sound familiar? Then you got the 5th level, which is the throat. That's when you're speaking from the heart. Makadu. That's what I do for you daily. The 6th is the third eye opener. Again, I'm there. The 7th is the crowning. That's when you realize you and God are one. That's the goal. That's my intent. That's Carl Jung will try to explain it his way. I get it. Watch this. That's how I get it. So watch this. Let's talk about this a little more. So the super ego is you knowing yourself. Now, but according to right thinking philosophy, Amun is your hidden aspect, your consciousness. Set is your ego self, who you identify with. Heru is who you aspire to be, which is your best self, which is the reincarnation of your father. Sound familiar? The concept, okay? You're the son. In Masons, your father dead, ain't he? Sorry, dead, ain't he? Okay? So we become the widow's son. Another lesson, but that's it all ties in. But I'm just trying to show you how the psychological concepts in modern times are no different than the ancient times. Let's go. Now I'm trying to put it together. Here you go. The id is your hidden identity. You identify with that. Your name, okay? You get a name. That's your identity. That's your id. You want to say, hey, Mark, I'm going to respond. I got cats who, when I call them, they respond. So you identify with them. That's the id part. That's the hidden part. Okay, it's there. You just don't see it. So hence, Amun, hidden consciousness, knowing. Okay, all knowing. He's all conscious. Now where we at? Okay, here. Okay, the I, the inner self, which identifies with who you are. The I am is your God, is you knowing or becoming contact with one. Anointed, they called it Christhood, Haruhood, Nihas, spiritual enlightenment, Moksha, Nirvana. All these names that mean the same thing. But the goal is that every individual, whatever you at, whatever name they call it, is some things that you have to do. That's the bottom line. So with all that, the ego self, which is your lower self, that's the I, that's the me. hmm And that's who y'all refer to as the devil. You know why? Because fear is false evidence appearing real. You create fear when you do what? You go against God's. When you go against God, what's natural, what's natural. When Adam and Eve committed their little sin, they felt what? Embarrassed. So they wanted to hide. When a kid or anybody do something wrong, first they want to do what? Is hide. That's the guilt. They tell you when you commit a sin, repent, all that. Yeah, but you know within yourself what's right and wrong. That's what I'm trying to show you. That built-in mechanism. So when you choose to do wrong, you should understand that's the consequence that come with that. And the ego self don't have no regard for consequences. That's why you don't want it in the driver's seat. Okay? If you're ego driven, oh, watch this. You're lower nature and you still I. You just I without what? God. No am. Okay? Edging God out is what the ego represents. We try to get you to understand that. You turn your ego self into its own detriment by what? Going against what is right, which is God, or we know that as the Maya philosophy. Super ego. That's when trying to get all my right things to wake up and know themselves. That's the super ego. That's Heru. Okay? That's the higher self being recognized and the real you come into view. Why? That's who the super ego is, the ego knowing itself. It done risen super up. Superman, big ass on his chest. He represented the sun. He's the sun god. But conceptually, that's what he is. And everybody who has superpowers, why they gotta hide that identity? All he did was this is I'm Superman, but in normal face, I wear my glasses, so I'm just Mark, right? Take the glasses off. Now I'm Superman, the right thinking man. They always hide my true identity. Okay, but this is the whole concept. It's all up here. This all between the temples. Okay, that's where God is in the temples in your head. Let's go. The id, aka the inner spirit, the hidden aspect of your mind, your consciousness. That's what relies on. You rely on. And what? The brain only can use what the body transmit. Taste, smell, see it, hearing, touching, and tasting. That's the five senses that control the id. Okay, watch this. Your id controls your pleasure and desire conceptually, pleasure principles. Why? Because it wants to be satisfied, again, to enjoy the physical urges. Now it's gonna put that thought in your mind. The ego gonna take it and it's off to the races. Remember, it don't care about consequences. So when you say I, which is saying you're speaking in I, singular, one term. And the only thing that's one is God. Everything comes from him, and everything comes from him is then dual. Why? Because you have two sides of the hemisphere, the brain that's in your head for a reason. But it's that little transmitter, that pineal gland that controls. That's the factor that you want to use because what? That's where God dwells in that little piece in your brain. All this other stuff, two sides. Some of us use the left, some of us use the right. If a female use more right, she become masculine. If a man use more left, he become feminine. So Mayat gives you balance. You need to understand, I got some feminine ways. I got some sensitive stuff. Oh, that doesn't make me gay or feminine. It's just understand the balance of human being. So get the concept. Watch this. Now, when you speak in a single term, I, that's the ego. Okay? That's the identifying with itself. It knows itself. That's all it knows. Okay? But your id is like the rain. The id is ran, watch this, by what? Your body senses. Again, it goes by the senses of smell, sight, sound, touch, and taste. That's what the body's run on. That's the physical aspect. And the id thought, watch this, my id thought it was a drug dealing hustler. Those hidden desires, that's what I wanted to be. Why? Because that's what I saw. Remember, the first 7 years of your life is being programmed by somebody else, not you. The second seven, from 7 to 14, you're programming yourself now. You're starting to feel your way around, starting to exercise certain things. So then the last section, the last 7 years, when you get to be 21, you should have been programmed, deprogrammed, and then reprogrammed to be who you need to be at that point. Because you don't went through the two phases. The third one is on you. From your adolescent years, you're supposed to learn how to be a responsible person. But moving on, that's the is job. That's more of a parent job. Excuse me. Where I'm at down here. Okay, now the five senses run the id. Now, back in the day, I wanted to do what my environment showed me. Self mastery is what is learning to control the id with what right living daily. That puts the id and the ego in what the submission role where they had to work for who? Haru, your higher self. When you have self mastery, you're calling the shots from the higher perspective. Watch this. That means you're going to do what's right. A team of wild MFs couldn't get me to do some of the stuff that I used to do. That I thought was cool. I thought was all right. I know now it's wrong. I'm not doing that. Selling drugs, running the streets. Nope, 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 none of that. So you can change, but it starts here. Keep telling you that. Now let's deal with the ego. The ego is the self who lives for itself. It wants what it wants. In the physical world, it wants pleasure, it wants money, it wants monetary things. So you living in lower nature. They call beastly nature. This is why the Sphinx was the first monument showing man he had to rise from his beastly nature to become conscious of himself and be the God who controls the domain and himself. If not, he's a beast of the fields. Let's go. Without knowledge of self, you're going to do a whole bunch of stuff. And your ego, watch this. Your ego, aka your lower self, that's the beast of the field. It's ignorant of what is higher self, which is its true self, and will fight tooth and nail. That devil y'all talk about, that's your ego. Please understand that. And your ego, watch this, will have you doing whatever you had to do to but satisfy you. When I was egoist, I wanted to make money, have girls, and live that life. That's what I did. Ego driven. That's what it makes you do. Now, super ego is in control. The Heru comes through. The hero in you. That's what's really supposed to be. You have to save yourself. If you think that God got Christ coming back to save you, think again. You got to become Christ and save yourself. I'm doing my job as a savior to enlighten you, inform you to what you need to do for yourself. That's as far as I can go. I got my sage title, I got my band, all that good stuff, but I'm just doing my job to enlighten you. The rest is on you. Let's go. The egoistic people, watch this, they will lie, no matter what religion you call, what state position you're egotistical, you will lie, you will cheat and steal if it will get you what your desires are ahead financially, whatever it is. But you will do those things because that's what the ego driving will drive you to do. If you don't control it, it will control you. The ego self, watch this, won't give in to its higher self, which is Haru, the real you, what? Without a fight. Oh, it's going to be a fight. There's going to be a fight. I'll call it the holy war. Haru, set. Who going to win? In my story, in my mythological concepts, good always win in the end. The fight ain't over yet. I asked my pastor, I said, Pastor, when I was a bad guy, good guys was plenty for you. I had to duck and dodge and, not that everybody know. So now that I'm a good guy, what happened? The bad people seem to be winning. He said, don't worry about it, right? When you come to a fight, depending when you come in, who's on top at that time. Don't worry, they're going to be changed. I said, dude, I really want to help that change. Why? I don't like this. So right now, bad is in control. Ego is running rampant right now. We have no moral, no spiritual concepts at all. So we can't expect to change if we don't change the top. I'm trying not to get political. I ain't trying to preach, but we got people who are egotistical running the world. Simple as that. Moving on. And when you got that, it's never going to be good for us. Once you gain control of what your ego self, what will happen? It will be your best worker. He will serve you because that's what he do. He don't need to run nothing, but when he do what he do, that's what you put in position. Do this, he will do that. Oh yeah, and do it well. Trust me. That's why running the show, he's going to do that unless you take him out. He ain't easy, and he won't quit. He'll be back tomorrow, just like Rob and Apophis. Soon as Rob go into the sunset, to the duet, oh, it's on. Why? Him and Apophis got to dance for the next 12 hours. He's in somebody else's territory. Moving on, concept. Moving. Now, let's get to the superpower. Oh, I got to get this thing done. Let me wrap this up. The super ego. That's all right thinkers knowing themselves. Watch this. This is the best part. Super ego is your higher morals, aka Heru, the hero in you, the I am. That's the true self. That's you uniting with God. When he asked, who do I tell him? Tell him, I am. I'm in you. So I am you. You am me. We are one. Everything comes from the one. Okay. It's going back that way too sooner or later. But moving on. Yes, your super ego is what? Your ego that has been what? Conquered and enlightened to be the servant to its higher self, which is Ra. But Heru had to put him in that position. Okay, that's you taking control of you physically in the physical body. Heru is the king on earth of his domain. Why? He mastered himself through the knowledge that he got from his mother, the stuff that he got from Tahuti, and he was well versed, so he lived his best life and conquered his lower self. Moving on. That's the goal of all right thinkers. That's the story. Where we at? Now the super ego alone, the ego alone, watch this, is a bad man. He can't set will fight. I call him the honey badger of the guys. And guys, why he ain't gonna run from a fight. Not even Haru. He don't care. He gonna fight. He gonna give up. So that's the fight that you want to have in you, but you want to have it controlled so that it work for you, not against you. Okay, set man, that's it. He don't need to be in control of nothing until you give him something specific to do, and he'll, trust me, he'll fulfill that task. That's the whole point. That's the dog in you. But can be defeated by what? Haru, the real you. Your super ego is the hero, the hero in each of us waiting to what? Be turned loose. You have to activate what? Your superpowers. Knowledge of self is like a superpower. The serpent that's in you can only activate when what? You live righteous and virtuous. That's how we activate the kundalini, the serpent that's trapped inside, waiting to be activated to help you become your best self. Why? When it goes up, it's going to hit every chakra, red, orange, yellow. Then when it hit the green, ding, 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 some things start changing. You're vibrating at a different level now. And then you start to speak different. You start to see things different. You start to comprehend and understand things different. Guess what? You know yourself. Your super ego has been boosted. Okay, let's move on and wrap this up. So when I was ignorant, just ego, my ego ran ran the show without self-knowledge. I was just winging it. Again, I was just making it up as I go. That's never good. If you don't have a plan, your plan is to fail. So whatever you get involved in, if ain't nothing planned there, guaranteed to fail. So moving on. And that was without knowing myself. Now, my super ego is in control. Why? He's supposed to be in control. That's the one you want. That's who you want to drive the bus, not set. Okay. So the super ego is set. I mean, the ego is set. Super ego is Heru. Let's go. Three types of yourself, aka your true self. We talked about it in the beginning. It's all about the id, the ego, and the super ego. I just put a little bit, played with it, and gave it to you in a different way. Hope you understood it. Let's go and wrap it up. Now, the id is your hidden pleasure waiting to be lived out. And it's going to do whatever it's going to do. Why? Because it's going to follow the ego or it's going to follow the super ego. It serves. Okay. The ego self is your physical pleasures where you live in below the waist. Young man, I'm trying to get that point across here. We did the semen retention concept. That didn't go well, but you got to rise above just, okay, the pleasure of the flesh. That's what I'm saying. They call them carnal pleasure. It's been around forever, okay? That thing ain't changed since it's come into existence, but it's still doing the same thing, destroying a whole bunch of people over that thing. Moving on. Oh, now it ain't that. It's that thing now, money. So the ego starts to get that. Now, when you master right thing philosophy, that means you have reached your super ego. You have reached self knowledge. You are knowledge of self, and you know who you are, and you know you and God are the same. That's the conscious person. All right, thinkers, I want to understand who they are. Knowing that self means you know you connected to God. Wrapping it up. Now, all three of these, personalities are you. You need to master all of them, believe me. And that's what knowing thyself is all about. Understanding, knowing, and manifesting what it is you know and what you learn to prove that it works. Last one again, I appreciate you. Right thinkers, you are super egos. And you becoming Heru, that's the true you. Trust me on that one. I'm out.